All right, so today we're going to dive into a really fascinating piece of software called manaCompiler. And what makes it so interesting is that it sits in this unique little spot in the music creation world, trying to solve a problem that, let's be honest, pretty much every digital musician has run into.
You know the feeling, right? If you make music on a computer, you've definitely stood at this crossroads. Over on one side, you've got your trusty DAW, your digital audio workstation. It's structured, it's linear, it's kind of like a tape recorder on super steroids. It's familiar. But then on the other side, you've got this wild, wide-open world of visual programming. Think stuff like Max MSP or Pure Data. Here, you can build anything from the ground up. That is, if you're willing to tackle that monster of a learning curve. So what's it going to be? The comfortable highway or the untamed wilderness?
So let's dig into that a little deeper. A traditional DAW, like you see on the left, gives you a ton of power, all laid out on a nice, clean timeline. It's awesome for recording, arranging, and getting that perfect mix. The thing is, though, that very structure can sometimes feel, well, like a creative cage. Now, look to the right. Visual programming? That's near infinite freedom. You're not just playing an instrument anymore, you're literally building it. But here's the catch. That much freedom can be totally overwhelming. It almost asks you to think like a programmer, which isn't what everyone's signing up for.
But what if you didn't have to choose? I mean, what if there was something that could act like a bridge between these two totally different ways of working? Well, you've probably guessed it. That's exactly the gap that manaCompiler is designed to fill.
So what is manaCompiler really? Well, the official description calls it a modular audio/music environment that's trying to find a happy medium between DAWs and visual programming. But the key words here are extremely accessible and fast and intuitive. See, the whole point isn't to replace your DAW or to be a full-on programming language. No, the idea is to create this new hybrid playground for experimentation. And that really is the core idea, isn't it? It's the bridge. manaCompiler is all about giving you that amazing freedom of modular synthesis, but without all the scary complexity. And at the same time, it gives you the directness of a DAW, but without being locked into its rigid structure. It's really all about hitting that sweet spot right in the middle. Okay, so the big question is, how does it actually do that? How does it build that bridge? Let's pop the hood on this creative engine and see what really makes it tick. Well, it all starts with the building blocks, and you get a lot of them, over 50 different types of objects to play with. We're talking everything from super basic operators all the way up to complete, complex sequencers. Honestly, the best way to think about them is like a giant box of Lego bricks, but for building sound. And the cool part is how you use these bricks. It's this super flexible environment where pretty much any object can connect to any other. You can even bundle a bunch of objects together to create what they call macros, which is basically you building your own custom instruments. And then, get this, you use a state machine to sequence and arrange how all your different creations play. It's a really powerful nonlinear way to think about making music. Now, don't think that accessible means low quality. Not at all. The audio engine under the hood is seriously robust. It supports sample rates all the way up to a Pro Studio level of 192 kilohertz. So yeah, all your wild experiments are going to sound incredibly crisp and professional. Okay, so you're building all this amazing sound, but how do you actually control it? Well, this is where things get really, really fun. Sure, you've got your traditional tools like a polyphonic piano roll editor, but then you get some seriously wild options. For one, there's full microtonal support, so you can explore scales way beyond the standard 12 notes. And then there's a physics simulation sequencer. No, you heard that right. You can literally use virtual physics to create musical patterns. Just imagine creating a rhythm from the pattern of bouncing balls or a melody from a swinging pendulum. It is the perfect tool for making that kind of generative, unpredictable music. And look, manaCompiler knows it's not the only piece of gear in your studio. It's designed to play well with others. It supports a whopping 32 individual audio ins and outs, so you can easily route sound to an external mixer or back into your main DAW. Of course, it's got full MIDI support. It can even stream real-time audio to other computers on your network. It's absolutely built to be a team player. So, the feature list sounds pretty impressive on paper, right? But what do the people who are actually using it think? Let's take a look at how it holds up in the real world. This first bit of feedback really nails that core idea of accessibility. One user calls it, quote, a great way to introduce someone to the joys of modular synthesis. And they were also quick to praise its serious I/O options, pointing out that, this is way more than just a toy.
But hey, it's not all just praise, and the constructive feedback is just as important. A really common thing you see people asking for is a VST version. They say something like, I would love to see this as a VST. It would be a blast. And that's a huge point, right? It shows that people love the engine, but they really want to be able to run it directly inside their main DAW, to have it fit more smoothly into how they already work.
So if we boil all that user sentiment down, what do we get? On the pro side, you've got its amazing accessibility, a really powerful modular engine for what it costs, and that rock-solid connectivity. And the cons? Well, the big one is that it's a standalone program, not a VST plugin. And, a few users have pointed out some minor quirks in the interface that could probably be smoothed out over time. Okay, so after all that, we land on the most important question of all. Is manaCompiler the right tool for you? Well, based on everything we've just talked about, this software seems to be a perfect fit for a few specific kinds of people. First, it's for the musician who feels kind of trapped or boxed in by their DAW and is just desperate for a space to experiment and go wild. It's also for the total beginner who's curious about modular sense, but is maybe a little intimidated by the cost of hardware or the complexity of other software. And finally, it's an absolute dream for the sound designer, anyone who just loves building unique sounds and instruments completely from scratch. And here's probably the best part. You can actually figure out if it's right for you with zero risk. Because it's sold on Steam, you can use their refund policy. It's simple. You just buy it, give it a whirl for less than 2 hours, and if it's not vibing with your workflow, you get a full refund. No questions asked. It's a totally pressure-free way to see if it clicks. So let's just end on this one thought. A tool like manaCompiler is part of this bigger trend, It's about taking these really complex, powerful creative tools and making them accessible to more people. By building that bridge between rigid structure and total freedom, it's basically sending out an invitation to a whole new group of people to get into sound design and experimental music. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. As these incredibly powerful tools get easier for everyone to use, what is that going to do to the sound of the music we all listen to in the future?